When we talk about Apple's history with the iPad, there are a few moments that stand out as real turning points. The first iPad back in 2010 was one. The iPad Pro in 2015 was another. And then, in 2024, the release of the M4 iPad Pro completely changed the conversation again. That device was slim, light, and powerful. It had the new tandem OLED display, the lightning-fast M4 chip, and a redesigned Magic Keyboard that made it feel more like a MacBook than a tablet. For the first time, people were seriously asking, is the iPad Pro not just a tablet, but a full computer replacement? The answer for many was yes. The M4 iPad Pro wasn't just for watching Netflix or browsing the web. It became a main work machine. Video editors used it to cut 4K footage. Photographers used it to edit giant RAW files. Coders, designers, students, and business professionals all started relying on it. It blurred the line between laptop and tablet in a way that no iPad before it ever had. But technology doesn't stop. The M4 was a massive leap, but Apple is already looking ahead. And now, all eyes are on the M5 iPad Pro, expected to arrive in 2025. The excitement isn't just because it's the next version. It's because this model might mark the start of a new phase in Apple's vision for the iPad. A phase that leans heavily on artificial intelligence, new camera systems, and better hardware across the board. In this first part, we are going to break down the top 5 features of the M5 iPad Pro, explain why they matter, and set the stage for how this device could define the future of portable computing. The power of the M5 chip. Let's start with the heart of this machine, the M5 chip. For years, Apple's strategy was simple. New M-series chips launched in the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air, and then, a little later, those chips came to the iPad. But with the M4 iPad Pro, Apple flipped the script. For the first time, the iPad debuted a brand new chip before the Mac. That was a big signal. Apple was no longer treating the iPad as an afterthought. They were positioning it as a flagship product for showing off their silicon. The M5 is expected to continue this pattern. It will likely arrive in the iPad Pro first, before making its way into MacBooks and iMacs. That alone is significant. It means Apple sees the iPad Pro as the testing ground for the future of computing. So, what does the M5 bring to the table? Based on leaks and industry reports, there are several key improvements. First, CPU performance. Expect faster single-core and multi-core speeds than the M4. This won't just make your iPad feel snappier when opening apps. It will matter for heavy workloads like editing video, working with 3D models, or compiling code. Second, GPU improvements. Apple has been very focused on graphics lately. They want to compete with high-end Windows laptops for gaming and creative work. The M5 is expected to deliver smoother animations, higher frame rate support, and stronger real-time rendering. That means whether you're playing games, working with AR, or doing pro-level design, the experience should be seamless. Third, and maybe most important, AI acceleration. Apple has been talking a lot about Apple Intelligence. With the M5, the neural engine will almost certainly get a major boost. Expect faster real-time language translation, smarter Siri responses, advanced photo editing, and on-device generative AI tools. This is not just about speed anymore. It's about giving the iPad the power to handle AI-driven workflows right on the device, without needing the cloud. And finally, efficiency. Apple is known for balancing power with energy use. The M5 will likely consume less power while performing better. That means longer battery life, even with heavier workloads. All of this together makes the M5 iPad Pro one of the most AI-ready, performance-focused portable devices Apple has ever created. The camera surprise: 2 front-facing cameras. Now let's talk about cameras. The M4 iPad Pro already made an important change. It moved the front-facing camera to the landscape orientation. That made video calls so much more natural when using a keyboard or stand. But with the M5 iPad Pro, Apple may go even further. Rumors suggest it will include 2 front-facing cameras. At first, that sounds strange. Why would anyone need 2 selfie cameras on a tablet? But when you think about it, the logic becomes clear. With 2 cameras, one in portrait and one in landscape, you're always centered during a video call. No matter how you hold the iPad, straight up or sideways, the camera is in the right place. That alone solves one of the most common frustrations people have with tablets. But there's more. With dual cameras, Apple could introduce new features like desk view or multicam recording. Imagine recording yourself and your workspace at the same time for a tutorial or a live stream. Or picture switching between angles on a Zoom call without extra gear. These two cameras could also improve Face ID and augmented reality experiences. Better depth sensing and facial recognition could open the door for richer AR applications. And since Apple is slowly building toward its future with mixed reality and Vision Pro, having an iPad that plays nicely with AR is a smart move. For professionals, students, and creators who rely on video calls every day, this could be a real game changer. RAM standardization. Goodbye to 8 GB. Now, let's move on to RAM. With the M4 iPad Pro, Apple used a split strategy. If you bought a base model with less storage, you got 8 GB of RAM. If you bought a higher-end model with 1 or 2 TB of storage, you got 16 GB. That system created frustration. Many professionals didn't want to pay for a huge amount of storage they didn't need, just to get more RAM. With the M5 iPad Pro, the expectation is that Apple will standardize all models at 16 GB of RAM. No more limits. No more compromises. Every configuration will deliver the memory power that pros demand. This matters because iPadOS 26 is becoming more demanding. AI features require more memory. Pro apps like Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro are hungry for resources. And on the Mac side, even the M4 Mac ships with at least 16 GB of RAM. The iPad Pro is supposed to be the best tablet Apple makes, so it needs to keep up. For professionals, this change will feel like a breath of fresh air. It means you can finally choose the storage size you need without sacrificing memory. It also means the iPad Pro lineup feels more professional across the board. Wi-Fi 7, next-gen connectivity. Connectivity is another big step forward. The M4 iPad Pro came with Wi-Fi 6E, which was already very fast. But the M5 iPad Pro is expected to move to Wi-Fi 7. What does that mean? It means speeds up to 46 gigabits per second. That's about 5 times faster than Wi-Fi 6E. It also means lower latency, which is great for online gaming, real-time collaboration, and cloud-based workflows. It also means better stability in crowded networks. If you've ever tried to connect at a university, office, or airport, you know how messy networks can get. Wi-Fi 7 is designed to handle those environments better. For professionals, this could be a huge deal. Imagine editing 8K video files stored on a NAS drive over Wi-Fi without noticeable lag. Or working on massive design projects directly from the cloud with no hiccups. Wi-Fi 7 makes that possible. The display question. Will nanotexture be universal? One of the standout options on the M4 iPad Pro was the nanotexture display. This special coating reduces glare and reflections, making the screen easier to use in bright environments. For photographers, video editors, and designers, it was a dream feature. But here's the problem. Apple only made it available on the most expensive, high-storage iPad Pro models. That left many professionals frustrated. They wanted the display upgrade, but they didn't want to pay for extra storage they didn't need. With the M5 iPad Pro, many are hoping Apple will make nanotexture available across the whole lineup. If that happens, it could make the iPad Pro even more attractive to creatives who work in studios, classrooms, or outdoor settings. This isn't confirmed yet, but if Apple does it, it would solve one of the biggest complaints about the M4 generation. Who should upgrade? This brings us to the big question. Who should actually consider upgrading to the M5 iPad Pro? If you already own the M4 iPad Pro, the changes might not feel dramatic enough. The M5 chip, dual cameras, Wi-Fi 7, and universal RAM are exciting, but they may not justify an upgrade for people who bought the M4 last year. But if you're coming from an M2 iPad Pro, an M3 iPad Air, or any earlier model, the difference will feel massive. The combination of the OLED display, the M5's AI focus, the standardized RAM, and next-gen connectivity will make it one of the most powerful portable devices in the world. Why the M5 matters beyond specs. The M5 iPad Pro isn't just about better hardware. It's about Apple's broader strategy. Apple is clearly moving toward a future where AI is at the center of computing. The iPad Pro is being positioned as the flagship product to showcase that vision. With the M5, you get not just speed and efficiency, but the tools to handle AI-driven workflows. You get hardware that feels ready for the next 5 years, not just the present. And you get a device that once again pushes the iPad closer to being a full computer replacement. This is why the M5 matters. It's not a revolution like the M4, but it's the foundation for the next big leap. And that leap may come with the M6, where Apple could introduce new designs, under-display Face ID, or even holographic AR features. But for now, the M5 is the iPad that sets the stage, so we've already gone through the top features of the upcoming M5 iPad Pro. The M5 chip, dual cameras, standardized RAM, Wi-Fi 7, and the possible expansion of nano-texture displays. But to truly understand this device, we need to look deeper. Not just at the specs, but at the bigger picture. Why does the M5 matter in Apple's lineup? How does it compare to earlier iPads? Is it really a laptop replacement? And most importantly, should you upgrade now, or wait for what's next? Let's break it all down step by step. Looking back, from early iPads to the M4 era. To understand where we are now, let's rewind for a moment. The original iPad in 2010 was simple. It was a giant iPhone with no phone capabilities. It was meant for browsing the web, reading, and watching videos. It wasn't a computer replacement. Then came the iPad Pro in 2015. Apple introduced a bigger screen, the Apple Pencil, and the Smart Keyboard. It was the first step toward making the iPad a productivity tool. But even then, many people still saw it as a second device. Great for travel or casual work, but not a true laptop competitor. Over the years, Apple kept pushing. Faster processors, better displays, more accessories. The introduction of iPadOS in 2019 was huge because it gave the iPad its own operating system, separate from iOS. That move was Apple's way of saying, this is not just a bigger iPhone anymore. Then, in 2024, the M4 iPad Pro arrived. That device was different. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a statement. The tandem OLED display was stunning. The M4 chip brought desktop-level performance. The Magic Keyboard redesign finally made it feel close to a MacBook. The M4 blurred the lines more than ever. For many, it became a main computer. For Apple, it was proof that the iPad could stand shoulder to shoulder with laptops. And now, with the M5 iPad Pro, Apple is building on that foundation. The M5 versus older generations. So, what happens if you compare the M5 iPad Pro to older models? Let's take a closer look. If you're on the M2 iPad Pro, the jump will be enormous. The M2 was fast at the time, but it's already feeling old. It doesn't have OLED. It doesn't have the newer keyboard design. And compared to the M5's AI-ready chip, it's going to feel limited. If you're doing heavy workloads, the difference will be night and day. If you're on the M3 iPad Air, the story is similar. The Air is great for casual users, but it doesn't have pro-level performance. It doesn't have the same display quality. It doesn't have the RAM needed for future pro apps. For students or creatives looking to step up, the M5 iPad Pro will feel like moving from economy to first class. And if you're still using an older model like the 2018 or 2020 iPad Pro, the leap will be massive. We are talking better displays, faster chips, longer battery life, smarter AI features, and modern accessories. For those users, the M5 could feel like buying a brand new category of device.